Welcome to Goat Island. I'm your host, the Big Ka Huzzi, and this is your weekly entertainment and history. As always, what's happening with series anyway? Starting off with our Mount Rushmore of bingeable sitcoms. Last week we had our first face on the rock with How I Met Your Mother, placing second overall, and this week's pick to go on our Mount Rushy of bingeable sitcoms is Math, Science, History, Unraveling a Mystery. It all started with a Big Bang. And from the Big Bang Theory, this marked a new approach to sitcoms, shifting away from the bars and coffee shops and moving to the apartment. Not only that, but this sitcom had the most seasons out of all the shows on our Mount Rushmore, with 12 seasons, and overall places third amongst the other shows on Mount Rushy. We previously gave you the biggest shows coming out in June, but this week we're predicting which show we think will be the best drop this month. And even though the last season wasn't as good as expected, and though we love Marvel on this side, we have to go with Squid Game Season 3. This week's focus is The Bear Season 4, and all 10 episodes of the show will drop on the 25th on Hulu and Disney+, which means you don't have to change streaming platforms between Ironheart on the 24th and The Bear the very next day. The Bear is about a dysfunctional family who owns a restaurant and displays important themes such as trauma and suicide in a way that's relatable and makes sense, showing that the biggest joys in life can come from the simplest of things, even food. I remember back when to know what a show was about, you had to wait and watch it. And somehow back then we learned more than nowadays when everyone thinks they know it all, yet they don't, even when all the information is at their fingertips, because it's too difficult to bother looking things up. Yeah. Enough of series. What's going on with the big screen? It's time to get to movies. For our first movie Mount Rushmore, of course, we're looking at sports movies, and this week's pick is none other than Pumping Iron. Although technically a documentary, it does have a clear narrative and build up with a climax. The movie that threw bodybuilding into the middle of pop culture, and the first time Arnold was really seen in film. Every serious gym goer has watched this at least once at some point, and if you haven't, then you really should. This ranks 4th place overall because Arnold's classic physique is good enough that it places this movie on Mount Rushmore, but we can't seriously put the Austrian higher than this after what he did to that Batman movie. Now, last week the Ballerina came out, but we haven't seen it yet because the weekend was just too stacked with sports to see anything else. Still though, we're more likely to watch Deep Cover before the weekend than the Ballerina because, Prime versus going to the movies. Yeah, easy choice. And even though we haven't seen it yet, we still think the Ballerina will be the clear movie of the month when all is said and done, because, it may not be a John Wick movie, but Keanu is still in it as the assassin, and who doesn't love Keanu? Not all movies are good though. With this week's movie, they can keep being. Bride Hard, coming out on the 20th of June. We get it, Rebel Wilson. The movies you're in are usually funny, but the thing is, we're not laughing with you. We're laughing at you. And it's getting kind of old now. Like, Pitch Perfect was 13 years ago. It's time to try other things now. Series out of the way? Check. Movies out of the way? Check. I guess that means we have to talk about digital streaming platforms and studios. Now, we predicted that Netflix would be the DSP of the month again for June, with this past weekend having Money in the Bank streams for WWE content and the upcoming finale for Squid Games. But if Squid Games is disappointing, then Netflix might have competition, with Disney Plus having both Ironheart and The Bear dropping this month. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Things keep escalating between Marvel and DC, as DC just keeps trying to be Marvel, and more recently, the disappointing comic book studio copied Marvel by also pulling out of Comic-Con this year. Very original, DC, but we see you and your fans, like you, full of hype, but just aren't it. And Kevin Feige doesn't care about being friendly or nice and has kept the drama going because Marvel Studios just dropped another trailer for Fantastic Four and did so to announce that tickets are now on sale. And this may seem normal until you consider that Superman comes out more than 2 weeks before Marvel's first family make their MCU debut. But before they had a chance to put tickets on sale for the DC blockbuster, Marvel said, nah, you thought I was going to give you a chance? Fuck that. Eat shit, James Gunn. I don't know if Kevin Feige is trying to get his Drake on, because right now he's looking like the middle-aged petty king. Last week, we started our top 5 for DSPs and studios, with this month's pick being Sony Pictures, and this week's reason why it's in top 5 is the S's. They gave us Spider-Man, both Tobey and Garfield versions, especially Bully Maguire, plus the childhood feel-good Stuart Little, and the movie about Facebook, The Social Network. Tune in next week for the next reason Sony Pictures is top 5 DSPs and studios. When it seems like time is up, all you need to do is just rewind. And that means next up we're talking about history. This week's petty boy is Ivar the Boneless, Viking warlord, legendary rage machine, and proof that having no bones doesn't mean you can't be petty to the bone. First off, boneless. Historians think it might mean he had a medical condition, but was super flexible and just terrifying in a weird noodle-limbed way. Either way, the guy was unhinged. After his father, Ragnar Lothric, was executed by being thrown into a pit of snakes, Ivar made it his life's mission to get maximum revenge. He formed the Great Heathen Army, basically the Viking Avengers, and terrorized England with one goal: make everyone pay. When he captured King Aela, the guy who killed his dad, Ivar didn't just kill him. No. He gave him a blood eagle, a brutal ritual where ribs are pulled out like wings and lungs are yanked through the back. You know, subtle stuff. Conquered cities, crushed armies, all because someone just touched his dad. Ivar didn't just hold a grudge. He weaponized it, scaled it, and burned countries over it. Boneless? Nah, bone-chilling. This week's cinematic rewrite of reality is Pocahontas. Disney's prettiest take on one of history's most uncomfortable chapters. Sure, the song slap, Colors of the Wind still hits, but historically, it's giving fanfic. Let's break it down. Pocahontas was about 10 or 11 years old when she met John Smith, so yeah. The romantic storyline? No thanks. The film paints a picture of mutual respect and harmony, but in reality, the English settlers kidnapped her, converted her, and she eventually died in England at age 20 from disease. John Smith probably exaggerated a lot about their relationship. Bro was out there giving interviews like, yeah, she saved my life and totally loved me, while the tribe was like, absolutely not. Visually stunning, emotionally manipulative, and historically laughable. The only accurate thing was the raccoon. You've heard of great military defeats, but have you heard of the time Napoleon Bonaparte got wrecked by bunnies? Yes, rabbits. Fluffy ones. Here's what went down. After a successful military campaign, Napoleon's team planned a rabbit hunt to celebrate a wholesome little warlord bonding moment. They brought hundreds of bunnies in cages, ready to be released for the hunt, except when they let them loose, instead of running away, the rabbits charged Napoleon and his men in a wave, like a furry, thumping revolution. Turns out the staff bought tame farm rabbits, not wild ones. So they saw Napoleon not as a threat, but as the guy with the snacks. He had to literally retreat from the rabbits. His men were smacking bunnies off horses while the Emperor of France fled the battlefield. You can win against Austria, Prussia, and Russia, but underestimate bunny energy? That's how you get humiliated by the Easter Brigade. Now, although Napoleon has been seen over and over in film and television, I don't think this story has made it to the screen, whether TV screen or the big screen. And as a series, we'd give this a 5 out of 10. Bit too basic to give a compelling repeat watch, but as a movie, this could be an epic action comedy to rival the likes of Inglourious Bastards, and for that reason, we're giving it a 7 out of 10 as a movie. That's a wrap for this week's Entertainment and History Drop, and you can like and subscribe, and if you have any thoughts, drop a comment. And from Goat Island, this is the Big Ka Huzzi. We'll check you again.